for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video with me here today. This video concludes and completes the last part of the Divine Trilogy or Trinity of Light as the Elohim Discipleship and the Elohim Illumined Mission Plan. And so we actually will talk about the new creation cycle in this one. It's quite a lot. Most of it I just wrote down, so because I don't want to be too long in this video. As you can see, the first two were pretty long, pretty long narratives shared. So I will go and read through this. If I have something to add as comments, I will do so, but mostly I will just be reading through and just get myself a bit more comfortable. Okay. So as you could see, there were in this mission plan, there were many detours and what seems to be from their human perspective, like rerouting experiences for us. But in actuality of Illumined Design or Illumined Mission Plan, they were all kind of pre-calculated, you know, divinely orchestrated and structured. So I want to start again with transgression. We've talked probably in this last 2 years a lot about that. Some souls will still have a lot of work here to do because it is what it is for us to really see and use our complete seership vision to see through this phenomena and to actually see it through in a way that's kind of like finally saying totally no to it. And you know, I've done it at my level, I've done it at the core creation level, but then it also means that each sovereign individual will have to walk through the experience themselves and they will have to liberate themselves of that. So transgression work from our perspective was very hard, as they've shared, but it was fully accomplished and successfully done. These were the team statements now they're giving me as points that we've managed to assimilate and the work we've been completing. They said the ascension map has now finally fully and entirely been retrieved and restored. They were like, yay, you know, it was celebration time by the family. I hope I do get some well-deserved vacation time. And you know, like for me, I never really have an actual vacation, but a retreat that, you know, in which Aurea can just replenish and start cultivating her new life cycle. The last or the next stage, which they call the last, preparation for ascension, via the Illumined Beloved Tantric Path and cultivation. They said we've now fully created the new realm. They're not calling it the new earth at all for some reason, as the Elohim primary template was restored and sealed into the human template, which is my body, Polona's body template, fully and safely delivered and now safeguarded by the Royal Angelic Service Team, which is the AA or the Aureus Arcturian team, the Illumined Arcturian Council from, you know, what we call the name Aureus. They will now need to gather enough life force cultivation for us, the family, to start the preparation work, because they've been showing me we're all, I don't need to be shown, I know this right for a fact because I'm living it in my body. We're all quite exhausted from all of our work during these 10 years, but especially in this last, it was like the last finish line. It was like, come on, I just need to do it. And I was like, no, I'm already so exhausted, I can't, you know. And even in the visions we were getting, I was shown as very, very depleted. Yeah. So the Illumined Beloved Creatrix has been, or has to be, established via Aurea's portal, right, which is an inner gateway, that which Polona has brought into awareness and concealed. It was since 2013 onwards, and it was to help to activate and build the portal, but then also bring others into its awareness. When I first revisited that portal after me moving away from the space in which I lived before, I was shown, look how we now extended this portal and how it's being expanded, and many light beings can travel through it, in and out. It was very amazing. But I was also seeing how Aurea particularly sacrificed herself because she was training with a specific group of Illumined angels or Illumined light beings who needed her to demonstrate to them this path and show them how it's done. So in a way, you know, when you're truly an advanced being, you don't just advance in a vertical sense. At a certain point, you then get to choose to sacrifice your advancement and to share your cultivation that you've reached, your advancement you've reached, and to sort of show this through the discipleship path onto those the new students, the new beings, the new illumined beings in training who are kind of training underneath her domain. I saw them, and she was like, I'm going to show you how it's done, guys, and then you're going to need to do it yourself eventually. So it was very interesting what I was seeing. So the portal is for both these illumined individuals, illumined light beings, but also humans who are being brought forth, because this is like her archway, her gateway of ascension. So they showed me that the charging of the illumined beloved essence that needs to move through this creation pillar prism, through this portal work, for the grand entrance to be sealed, the grand finale, they call it, to then fully stabilize the activated prism of life, or the pillar. The message was coming through as the Elohim descend into the human physical form, so they also ascend from it in the same similar fashion via tantric essence merge of the illumined union design, which is the sacred lovemaking. So just like these essence being do that coupling, that has to occur at the physical human level as well. So this level of consciousness, as I've shared before in my case specifically, was never physical before. This was the first fully activated and embodied Elohim human child on earth that brought forth the seed of creation thus far. The first of the few of the many to be, as they call it, right? The birth of the Elohim children to be. Divine Tantric seal of life, or the life-giving principle, has to be activated now. I've activated myself years ago, but it now needs to be restored back into life through my human body motions, and the sacred dance, the sacred orgasm cultivation. I have created courses of all of this. It's all on my webpage, how you can start doing this work. Divine Trinity of Life, sacred orgasm, tantric dance, all of these things. So, as I've said, Aurea as the leader, that's what I was shown, goes first and walks as the lead, and she's done everything before as blindfold. Like we've talked about this before, so I won't discuss it again. So she's been training and initiating many, like I said, a group of illumined light beings how to do it themselves. She was showcasing and demonstrating through "this is how it's done" principle for them to learn, absorb, and master this themselves. So now the human child embodiment, which is me, is fully free and awake in its Elohim creation power with its uniquely activated creation story template. So this means that I've awakened to the Aurea Auren creation template, and maybe some other beings would do the same in their own grouping level, right? Trace their lineage back to their first original creation story. So it will take the lead, which means the human is the key. They've been telling me this for years. I've been sharing in my videos, and now I finally fully get what it means. I mean, I thought it meant a lot of things, but now I really fully get what it means, okay? So before, the child, via transgression, could still be partially held back, manipulated, distorted, but with a full timeline reversal into the true and original creation story, and with that sealing the deal through the pulsar, it can now no longer happen. The vision is clear, the path is being cleared. So just keep on persevering, as they said. So me and my mission counterpart at this point, when we were bringing the mission to its completion stages, the mission was of Aurea, right? So she just was brought forth to train with us and do the work with us and to assist us. But, the mission is fully of Aurea and Auren, but it encompasses many, many beings. So it's hard to get it across in words to not make it seem like such an isolated project. It encompasses many, many beings, but the vision and design was Aurea and Auren, okay? So we, through the vision and family channeling, were flying fully free, as you remember, as two doves, the Holy Spirit of liberation, as Earth Queens too, but then we needed to drop our crowns, descending our crowns to the formation, then becoming the prism of life, which was represented by the flower of life patterning. So we descended these crowns below into the valley for others to use and benefit from on their own. When they became a full flower of life, that meant now a new creation cycle is about ready to be birthed into motion. So mission was complete, and the completion brings about new birth. That's always how it happens. The synthesis of each completion brings a birthing of the next. So its beginning and ending are the same, remember that? So Aurea's plan all along was, and Auren of course, these things that I will now talk about. So first, activate her human body avatar and template, me as Polona. Bring her all the memories, who she is, right? What's her mission? And that all took place during those first 7 years of me living here. Then reverse the transgression timeline via fallen creation codes and genome experimentation. Done that? Check. Retrieve the ascension plan map of the fallen realms. Check. So in the higher realms that took place, we don't know necessarily as humans what the F, but it is happening, okay? then get enough witnesses during the transgression experiments and, of course, experience, agreement completion, and the end of that deception. It was a huge full-on deception, okay? But we reversed it. Check. Revitalize and reactivate her human self body. Now, these are the points that I'm not there yet. This is to be. It's not yet checked. Restore the full original Elohim creation design. It has to be integrated, and I'll probably be integrating this during my next solar cycle or the next solar return in my human life. Reverse the fallen timelines and illuminate them. Rewrite the original creation story through the human living gospel. That was me as Polona. I was the living testament of this truth. And my statement is now, I've lived to tell I am Aurea. This is like me bringing myself back to my creation point, the original point of my own immaculate creation. It is complete will be the words that I've said when everything is done, but this first part of the mission now is complete. We're in this last third stage. So completing the mission was that which gets one to say those words, okay? So we can say them, but they're not yet. There are a few circles within the flower of life. It's like the last remaining few now on hold. Not on hold, but unfolding. So now we're going to hold the gates for Illumined Ascension and the creation of the new realm. We will then ascend via the Illumined Cosmic Beloved Essence cultivation. And lastly, I need to speak about this again. Illumined beings don't save or rescue anyone. This needs to be reiterated for some reason, for God's sakes. I don't know why, but somehow. Because you have to go back to the origin point where it all first began. So they reverse the timelines. They create new worlds and realms. So they create a spin-off frequency that connects spaces through these portals that they create. They generate them as illumined beings. They themselves, creation pillars are portal makers. The gatekeepers then hold the essence of that which then can move through those portals. But the light of mysteries again have a different task, and I've specifically talked about this before, and it's in one of my channelings, and basically everything I've ever received is out there already, and unless that which I haven't received yet, because I have shared everything, as you know. So they create these spin-offs, and then they're spiraling timelines through that and creating a spiral out of a loop, right? That encircled, which has or consists of many, many lines, right? Distorted timelines and circles via Holy Spirit live design. That's how we do it. So Aurea is and will always remain the ultimate immaculate giver of life. They somehow wrote that through me today. This human legacy goes to her. She, as the queen in the Illumined realms, chose to sacrifice herself so that others could learn and to become just like her, like unto her, creator gods in their own sovereign right and making. This path is not just given, it is a choice. Illumined beings serve God Almighty, the highest and divine law, which is love Lord God with all of who you are, which means all of your essence. Aurea is a sovereign being, has done her work until this point successfully, and now only the last chapter remains to be created or told through her. She will gather all her strength for this last breath of life and then retire to her royal chambers of illumined light when her time comes. When my time comes. I don't know. It's not this or that. It's a merge of me through her consciousness. So our new creation cycle will consist of me as a human now holding the firstborn Elohim template and kind of like exuding it out to the rest. This exuding will still call out to those who need to hear the call. They will hear it through me, finally coming into this essence fully. Before, that wasn't yet fully readily available because I was still having a bit of transgression left, and we needed to have that detour to pass through onto the other side. Now, I will read you the family message, which I think is really interesting what they shared. It's kind of like complex what I was channeling today. But I always share, as you know, in a very simplistic way and format as well. This is what they said, and this is how they explained to me why certain things need to occur before what I, as a human, thought it will happen in my life, but didn't. This is their message. It was more important, beloved, for us to mine, not in a negative way though, like the dark ones, to mine this body avatar of ours, of us, than do the external work. Which means it was more important in Polona's life work and mission how deep we will go within her, not how far and wide we will spread this knowing, right? People will say, why don't more people come across this? This was not their plan or intention all along. The seed of which has only been planted in those rare few individuals who were ready to understand this at this time. And that part of dissemination now belongs to them. So they're going to be the ones pulling that forth and pulling it into this horizontal life experience. And because now this dissemination belongs to them, we lay them fully in their hands. Okay? So few were truly fortunate enough in their current life to wake up to the core creation level. It remains an honor. And they were to witness this reality neutrally, to then rather focus on the illumined design work. And these few truly are the chosen ones. And so may this legacy now continue through them as they do their own inner work and walk the path of the illumined initiate or disciple of illumined light. Bless you all with the light of illumined truth always. Okay, so an extra message that I would say here is what came through Aurea for me, also through the work we did together in these sessions, is that Aurea has actually achieved more through me, as I've shared before, than was initially agreed and planned. It's kind of like what then opened the gates for those to follow as the children of Most High, God Almighty and the Holy Elohim, which is exactly here when I first came to the White Waters again, I got an E, a letter E in the sky, and this is how the Elohim always greet me. They always put a letter E somewhere, but mostly in the sky, because they are the holders of form, and they can shift the elemental realm by their will, as you know. So this was then now something, a message that I want to give to you, the message from my inner child, my human being, to all of you watching. So I want that my story was not, for you to understand, my story was never just to inform. It was never to gain attention, to gain followers, to get a discipleship by force, because it cannot happen. So I just let things happen. I just share, and I let my exuding light go and reach those through the quantum cosmic entanglement, that they need to be reached, And so I just want to share that I have been actually sharing during the transgression years my most vulnerable self with all of you, but so few have actually gotten to the point of really acknowledging that, like my own counterpart, she said to me, my reflection, my mirror, she says to me, when I first saw your transgression video, you were looking really poor and skinny and, fatigued and extremely exhausted. Like something really bad has happened to you. And I never really even dared to think about, or compared it with my experience. And my experiences were also in a way bad, like we've shared a level of what we call, trespassing against our free will and our bodies. And she said to me, but I knew there was something much deeper and darker, and I never dared to compare. I just knew that it's something I can't access at this point yet. So I just acknowledge you in that light. But most people, as you know, they don't think like that. They always, when someone talks about something, our human mind immediately jumps to a conclusion or an assimilation of, oh yeah, but I had this or that. It's like that comparison. Why that need to compare? When in all earnesty, our vision, our mission here was to bring forth the deepest level of darkness that can exist, for you to simply acknowledge that and realize that, creation is not all just like love, light, and things happen. And things that happen were really bad. And people might say, well, yeah, but you were divinely protected all along. Yes, but it was risky. I could have lost my life. I could have lost this body, avatar, or Aurea could have lost it. And certain people just don't understand. They think so for granted because I show up here and they, I have very few days in which I actually feel amazing. And when I come out, of course, I record on these days when I feel amazing, and people wouldn't acknowledge that. They think my life is so beautiful. All I do is bathe in these river streams and go and, jump the forest and explore. No, my beloveds, I do very hard work, and this is something that has not been acknowledged by many people, not even a few. So I wanted to share that from my own inner self, that oftentimes it felt like it was a cry for people to get it. It was like, come on, listen. Don't you see? I'm a human just like anyone else. I'm 50% human. Acknowledge me. Hear me speak to you. And people like, we don't care. No one really cared, but the family, the family cared. But what took place took place. And now it's not too late, but now it's time for you maybe can acknowledge this. That what took place was extremely, extremely dark. And most people did not experience transgression that Aurea took upon herself. She said, yeah, we can handle it. And we knew that the body will suffer, that the inner child will suffer. But Aurea is also so powerful that I assumed that she knew exactly what she was doing, so she knew that she will be able to heal well and faster than most other people, okay? So still, I want to say that whatever happened, and I'm on the other side, I've gotten my insights, I've fully become illumined, I've kept all my memory back, I have my vision back. Don't for 1 second think that this was done in an easy fashion. I did not just nearly die once, but several times. And this now, me being in this state, means that, we might forgive, but we never forget. This will always remain written in the Hall of Records, what took place, and what this being, this tiny being, this skinny body experienced. But this being inside has greatness and grandiose sacrifice that for all life, for other souls to be free from this transgression, she, Aurea, created offspring of herself and sacrificed herself so that others could live and be free. Just like in the lifetime of Jesus, he sacrificed himself. He did not need to be here for the rest to be free. Different scenario, different purpose entirely, but the same lifeline. So from my human heart core, I need to tell you these words that please do acknowledge before we move deeper. It's not just, okay, life, family, higher message, all good, all love, light, higher perspective. It's just a bigger picture. Don't tend to the small. Don't think about the human. No. Do think about, and in no way, shape, or form will I ever forget this. I will always have memories and consequences. Even in my illumined ways, I will never forget what happened to me, ever, until I'm this human. One thing cleared out of the picture, okay? My wounded and transgressed inner child was calling. It was calling like the inner child of all the other souls, for them to hear the cries and to see that maybe on the surface level things look fine for them, but they are not. Because most of these beings also experience a form of being held in prison. And yes, it was to wake up to what's going on, to acknowledge me, and through acknowledging me, acknowledge that this is a phenomenon, acknowledge themselves. An aspect of God that is in everyone. What one experiences, all experience. And if you don't get that, you're not in unity consciousness. And if you just brush it away and think, well, let's just focus on the positive. This is not about positive, negative. This is about the truth of what actually took place. What is still taking place in this universe. And the darkness goes way out of hand sometimes in proportion in what it does and creates. So that the innocent suffer. So the great ones sacrifice themselves for the end of the suffering of innocent, which don't have maybe so much skill and training. But when such one comes into a life, they offer their training and skills. That doesn't mean they will go uninjured. They get injured just the same way. The only difference is they have the means and the skills to get themselves out of it and solve an equation of transgression along the way. Just like, oh yeah, 2 years, poof, easy peasy for me. Doesn't mean that for the inner child it was easy, because it wasn't. Okay? So it was to wake up to what's going on in entirety of creation, to acknowledge this, and then, acknowledge the sin, this awful sin of transgression against life, against God. It's abomination of life, truly. So then to become the conscious witness of it all, the disciple, the awakening to the illumined path, illumined union path, and third, the embodiment of full acknowledgement. These three things, these beings who will follow this path will have to activate within themselves and embody them too. So my human miracle was actually to witness, after meeting this being, my disciple, my chosen one, to be fully and truly acknowledged as a human being, the awakened consciousness, right? It awakened my consciousness, right? For the first time in my life to that level, and to be fully witnessed, seen, and acknowledged. And even if that goes away, I was and experienced that feeling and will never go away, right? Whatever happens personally from this point onward, I've had that feeling and I will never forget it. And because I've experienced it, I can live to tell. And it's within my template now. I hold it in my womb. Yes, so because I was witnessing and acknowledged through mutual honor, respect, and dedication to the Illumined Path work, then healing could unwind very easily for me in these last few steps. Now, there's an extra outcome, which is the next stage that I wrote about. So my human child is now fully set free, liberated, sovereign as a human equal on to the Holy Elohim. They told me that. the firstborn child of Elohim, and because of that, I can now fully create from this human embodied state. They said no one ever reached that state of embodiment here. Going through such darkness and then rewriting it since the beginning, since the core. And they said it's not just as an advanced spirit of Aurea, they said, but her firstborn on earth having that discipleship, having that legacy. And this is then the next step of embodiment for me, and where I will be guiding myself and taking my body next into. And for others then to witness as a new human miracle and become the embodiment of this legacy for others to embrace, to follow in their own footsteps and becoming their own sovereign self in divine timing. Is the restoration of divine dignity back to our original templating as one family of light of the Elohim creation, right? Illumined and Elohim became Elohim. Ooh, Elohim. Wow, I love it. So I don't get to say Illumined Elohim because it lasts too long. Elohim. I love it. I really do. It's a new creatrix for sure. So anyway, the new illumined human becomes now the sovereign human authority, because the human before did not have such a full-on authority. It had to go through this first to seal the deal in a way, right? So in this density embodiment, the human can become this divine, like equally divine authority ownership, which means taking this current embodiment freely to where and how it wants to, now fully embodying the principle of, listen to this, I am Elohim. I am a creation angel. I was born to create and illuminate all of life in creation. And then the words come, right? I'll read you the channeling messages and the words come later. But what I want to do first is acknowledge the fact that the reason why you get this authority is because you went through all that can still hijack you and all that is based on knowledge and power. And when you're immaculate, you actually gain authority, you get divine authority through the immaculate design. Just like angels have authority under the domain of God to do different legislative work, right? And operations in their selfless service. So I will bring you now to this point, to the awareness that this was seeded for all of you who maybe don't have much understanding about this, because a part of the Elohim and how to create is shared in my 13 octave course. You know, there's a whole list of mastery courses. Some of them are just beginning stages and then they're getting more advanced. You know, the advancement begins with the level 10, with the Tantrika embodiment mastery, right? The cultivation of life force and the usage of life force principle. Then you have, I think you have the galactic human course. Then you have the, what's the next one? I forgot. I really did. I just know that the last one is the mastery of Elohim creation principle. So the last one, 13 octave course, you can get on my page. Then also these Elohim mini audiobooks, and through which all of their templates of life and their original immaculate creation is shared. So yeah, it is a celebration time indeed. So everything I've shared and channeled before now gains momentum, and perhaps more people can now open up to this type of consciousness because before they couldn't, right? It was like there was a lid covered. There was like this stuckness feeling, you know, and it just couldn't move onward. So in honor of this path, you know, they gave me these, they gave me the question. They said, what do creation angels do after a well and fully rounded mission completion? They kind of giving me questions now for me to contemplate. And they said they rest, restore, and recharge. They don't proudly step on a throne yet, but they humble themselves at the human level, right? And they retreat. They withdraw and they retreat. And they gave me this funny, you know, probably the Arcturians being messy again, being prickly. And they were like, no pictures, no pictures. You know, it's like, you know, people think now you are about the glory and fame. They said, no, we're so humble. We just share, but then we retreat. And in that retreat, there's a retrieval of something that we need to receive for the next creation cycle. This is where we're headed next. So they said, they also, I asked them, what's the accomplishment for the entire light family, for the whole family as one? And as I said, all three waves of these souls I've been talking about, they said the victory of love and the birth of innocence. That's what they gave me. That's what I got. How do you do victory dance? Not yet. It ain't over till Polona Aurea sings big time, you know, and maybe I will sing a song at the end, but not today. It's not the end yet, you know. I will sing when I leave and where I live. So the one other thing I achieved lately is a shift into my divine neutrality at the human level, because of all this rejection patterning at the core level, I had these rejection and restrictions placed upon myself, and now I'm seeing how I'm just allowing my human to orchestrate the whole thing in my life. Because before I used to be, I asked so many questions. Is it okay? Can I do this? Can I do that? Will it honor this individual? Will it honor the path? Will it be of the selfless service? Can I do this? I was always like, give me a yes or give me a no, and sometimes they couldn't because the human needed to learn. But now the human becoming more and more empowered in their freedom, they're going to trust themselves. The human aspect will trust itself fully. It will begin to trust more and more in the inner feeling processes that then tell the human child the life force impulses are the only correct way of living your human Elohim life, or Elohim human life. Either way, right? It goes both ways. It's an intertwined two double infinity looping symbol. That's a lumen union. And then they afterwards, when they said I coming, they said the answer, what did actually shift through that divine neutrality. They said, I shifted a family related sadness, which is at the whole level, there was a level of something that's still incomplete. They said I shifted that into the crowned jewel of love. Oh, that was really beautiful to hear, actually. And it's like I heard the words, wow, big time. And they said, you should be proud. You did it. You're now finally shifting things at the human level. And this is where all along we needed to get our creation to. So those of you who are just starting at the templating work, go and do the Illumined Elohim course, which is the last one on the mastery courses list on my webpage, Serapina Light. Now, I will only give you the light family message that came in, and then the Illumined guidance statements, and then we're done. I can't believe I'm through all these 3 videos. I've been recording all day, non-stop. I don't know if I even had a sip of water. It's like drowsy, tipsy. So this family message incoming, I want to read you, and I want to use their voice because their voice is really the voice of the mother. They truly are the great matriarchs. Okay. Let's begin. It was vitally important for us to first shift and reverse the multiplication of timelines. This is why it was so complex and hard to do. So there was not just one timeline. There was one split into many multiples, so that it was even harder to trace for them. It was really hard. So this is why it was so complex and hard to do, so shifting them into the true illumined creation template and story. The greatest and most beautiful story ever told on earth, as it was told in many shifted timelines or realms before. This, however, is the first of such kind here on earth, and as such, it should be honored. We could not begin with creation manifestation on earth human child before that was complete, and all of our lumen agreements were fully honored first. This is simply how we operate and how our timing is scheduled by the divine law of life force. And you, out of all, should know this. I do. It is what it is. That's my favorite statement now. It is what it is. The integrative human journey of the Elohim primordial template now needs to understand this ever so gradually and with ease. So the human now needs to accept this as their primary template. No longer that distortions they were the primary guidance of the human experience, and they continue to be for most souls. But they said we only need one to shift. We need one to get to a few to get to the many. And I was that one. It was hard. It was mostly specifically hard to embrace that I'm that one, because I was denying it like for many years. And they often came in and they said, but who other than you? Look at how you live. You're so remote. You're like this. Who else? Stop doubting it, And I'm like, no. And look at the hard work. Look at everything you're doing and pouring yourself. Pouring your gut and your heart out for this. And I'm like, no. And that was a hard part too, to embrace that fact. So the human now needs to just gradually come into this new seal template, okay? It won't be right away. Probably there will still be some, it's like memories of how things used to be. It's like contractive impulses in the body, which still makes you contract and be triggered. And it's no longer coming directly from the transgressive type of energy incepted in the body. It's just a remnant or a replicative memory that keeps on being on replay that now probably I will need to do lots of pulsar work to continue reversing. Okay. Yes. The integrative human journey of the Elohim primordial template now needs to understand this ever so gradually and with ease. We have truly done a lot in these past few, what you call years, but it is now indeed time to honor the human counterpart for everything that it did and all that it sacrificed out of its own humble life and heart. in order to serve the greatness of the Holy Elohim and our grandiose plan. It is time for this child now to be fully set free. We know there are simply no words left, and this is how our child feels at this point. I do. But we will continue to exude who we are and what we do through this beautiful creation of ours. Not me. Beloved ones, now they're applying themselves through all of you, and they're calling out. Listen with your heart. This is what they said. Beloved ones gathered here and everywhere at this time, all who are witnesses and the living testimonies of our grand miracle of life-giving. Don't just listen, observe, and feast your eyes. Plug into your heart and feel our humble, honoring truth. This is our legacy. Now you can become it yourself. You are free. As we always say, go forth and create. Jaw-droppingly simple, but so profound, as they always are, you know. You can just see the difference. And, even when I'm doing one-on-one session works, when I channel the voice of the mother, and often the family comes through, and people are just like, they're just like shifted right back from their troubles and their worries and their problems and complexities, because right now we have so many people building on this old framework and format that we need to get out of. And it's happening gradually, of course, for each individual. And the old template is, you were this in this lifetime, and you were that, and you were a priestesses, you were this in Avalon, or you were here and there. And people are not getting it. These beings are reliving archetypal aspects that are no longer real. There's zero life force behind them, because they continue to re-identify themselves with this aspect. They keep being replayed on a loop. It's like a bad record, like record going bad. Like, when that happens. And it's like, you need to realize there is no such thing. We each carry the archetypes of all life, but at the essence, at the core level, we are all beings. We are angelics. We are forces of life. We are vessels for life. We are simply at the end of the journey, whatever you are. I always say, I'm life. And I remember years back when I started this journey in 2011, this man wrote to me about the Elohim, and I didn't even know what it is back then. I was like, what is this? I was just still trying to, do my thing, do my work. And awakening was happening gradually, and I continued getting these impulses from random strangers at times. And he was saying to me, you are the chosen one because you are the aspect, you are life incarnate, you are life itself. And I didn't get it, how does life incarnate? And he said, yes, right? It's a tricky question. How can it? But because Elohim is the principle of life, they're not as identified. And because they're not identified with a specific beingness, they're still a being, but they're just able to hold so much in what we call the womb. And it's not physical womb like we carry now on earth. Women, and masculines like an inverted womb. It's not the same, but we all do from the essence perspective. And because of that, they can carry so much in their womb. And sometimes that much can be heavy too. Can be very dense and intense. But because they hold so much love, they're capable of holding even the toughest of the toughies. Okay? So you have to know our old timeline, which is continuously replaying these lifetimes. And I was this and I was that, and continuously re-identifying with them. It will only keep you looping. And you have to be aware of the tricks of the dark, which keep on being replayed in this old cycle. We need to save the earth. We need to ascend the earth. We need to, do it as a collective. There's always this, a collective. What is truly, the Illumined Ones would ask you, what is for you truly the collective? Because the only collective you should be focusing on is the collective of your light family. That is the light family as one creation prism of life that you are intrinsically, naturally, organically a part of. Okay, so I won't go too much into that. But so many people, as I'm seeing in this they're still deceived. The tricks are being played on them, identify with this, go do this mastership program. We need to drop these levels of labels, even the word mastery, even the word discipleship. We've been doing it in our work. But that's the reason why Aurea has been always teaching me. I'm simply a giver of life. And people are like, whoa, that's big. Anyone can tap into that creation seal. But it will take time for most souls to advance to that level, because that advancement is actually the dropping away of all the layers and aspects that you truly are not. And when a soul becomes a sovereign being and it creates its first illumined body, it becomes an illumined light being, intelligence, they start to realize what this whole creation plane is all about, and they start playing with it, and they start playing with their creations. You know, as a human, I had to be often very serious about the work, and, you know, it did create in me sometimes a feeling of a lot of burden and responsibility. But now when this is done, because the work was hard, the hard part was needed, and, you know, I was serious for the better part of this difficult work, because that's how I need it to be. You can't joke with specific things. But it's almost like when you do the difficult, when you do the heavy, and when you come on the other side, you can laugh and just throw yourself a party and say, oh my goodness, I'm just like God. I'm this beautiful divine child, and my life is about just creating more life, creating more sustenance through my body, life force splurging out, you know. Go open your heart. Let your heart pulsate. I just recently told someone, you know, our heart should not be beating fast out of fear, because we contract and then we get like, ah. Our heart should be only throbbing and thriving out of passion. Igniting that passion won't be as easy, as simple for some people. Some people will need more influences. Some people will need more guides. Some people will need partnership that will kind of pull them into that path. But each and every one, it is chosen in your soul. There's an entire blueprint for your awakening back to the source of life that is your own God self, your own individual God spark. And in that map, which is the map of your soul, everything is there. Everything is decoded. The only reason why we couldn't have deciphered it so well is because they were trying to reverse the whole creation story. Remember again. But now, because we've completed this, and I'm sorry, I'm yelling almost. I'm like, oh, I get so excited. I'm sorry, I'm going to slow it down a bit and, you know, slow my voice. It's like, because of that, now it will give the opportunity to many more beings to just become softer and focus more on their refinement rather than achievements and accomplishment. And, you know, this is the old. Yeah, I need to follow up this path of mastery. Like someone recently told me, there's someone I went to apprenticeship to or did sessions with, and now they're doing this 9-month, I don't know, whatever, priestess program. I don't know. You know, I'm always like laughing at these things, and I'm not judging them because everyone is where they are. But I'm seeing this as a recreation of constant replication of the same. It's, we don't even know how much we're recycling ourselves. For us to be free, you're going to have to get out of the loop. You're going to have to know what it means to become a spiral. And the first time in your own creation life, when you will begin to spin and pulsate, like I did when I first was initiated into the pulsar, you will go, oh, gee, cosmic orgasm. That's what will happen. For each and every individual, there is a specifically preset timeline which leads into that. That's the timeline of ascension. On this timeline of Illumined Ascension, everyone will experience this at a specific point in their evolution. And I don't have the answers when and how for each individual, but it will happen. So now, last thing, let's go. Illumined One statements, which are the 10 commandments, but they're not commandments because we don't command. We create life into motion. We give life a spark and a reason and meaning, and purposefully unfolding through our beautiful illumined vision. And these are the specific testaments, their legacy to those that follow this path. And when I read them now, don't just like go, okay, whatever. Take them into accountability and try to demonstrate something of this in your daily life. Sometimes it will be harder than some things maybe on the list might feel easier than others, but at least consider them, contemplate on them, meditate upon them, take them into your heart. Say, I allow myself to receive the original illumined seals of life. These are seals of life, and they're so simple, and anyone can get through them and into them. And I'm still brought back to the first moment when they told me. I was like, but who am I? I was still, you know, like, I was like, creation pillar, what's that? And I was asking so many questions at that point, you know, when you first start your illumined awakening. And they simply spoke in the Elven Eldar language, and they said, Este Eldar Illumine. And I'm like, what? What's that? And then for some reason, a few days later, I get across Lord of the Rings trilogy again, and they had these, you know, no, it was on Wikipedia, and it was an explanation of Eldar and who these beings are. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's a primordial, ancient ancestor, illumined being. Wow. I was like, I'm not that, you know. I was like this, like just like, it must have been my imagination. But after years of them proving and demonstrating to me that, look how your body lives because of us. You are an extension of us. You're living our legacy. You're living how much we love. You're the living embodiment and testament of our love. It's not about knowledge here. They said all we care about is bringing that illumined seal of life back. We're going to do it through the body. That's the only way. Okay? So I will read you these statements. Just feel them into your heart. And then that's it for today, for this last part. Number 1. Feel that there's a great golden white light being speaking to you now. They're standing right in front of you. They're an aspect of you that's calling you back home, and they're speaking these words to you. Just try to have the visual, okay? Blur me out of the vision, please. I'm not important here. Number 1, there's nothing in this existence that can be brought back to life, for all is of life. Number 2, you have to know who you are as that I am to create from your God self. And that again applies to the creation name. Everyone has a unique one. There's no one repetitive name in creation. Number 3, you have to fully liberate yourself in order to be free. I think so. It's the only way. Number 4, darkness is not more powerful than light. They're simply two sides of the same core. Number 5, illumined light is pure and benevolent life intelligence. And everyone carries the seed of that intelligence, which of course lies in their spark, which is their sacred flame. So the more your sacred flame is dimmed, because you're no longer performing the activities of light through your body, honoring God, serving God, praying, singing, being in love, conscious love making, these things, right? You're just like cringing up and going more into the darkness, then your flame will dim. So that's devotional yoga, right? The bhakti, I think it's a bhakti yoga path, which is the yoga of devotion and cultivation of the heart. Number 6, your body is your one true home, the vessel and connection. Treasure it as the most treasured, beloved child of God. Number 7, you vibrate only with what you exude and are capable of embodying. So you may know what you know, but it ain't enough for them. They need your embodiment. 8, this might be difficult to process for some because it's not gender role specific. So you have to understand creation principles versus gender first, okay? So don't get triggered. True queens, and the queen literally means the feminine Christ principle of life, are self-born. Kings, which are represented by the masculine Christ principle of light, so the feminine is life, the masculine is light. So life predecesses light. So the kings are chosen and created. You have to really contemplate on that. As illumined ones, we always work as one to serve the queen as the royal mother life-giving principle. Contemplate. Number 9, as above, so below. As we are your divine family and royal ancestry, so too are you family unto us. We are each other's divine reflection. So it's not hierarchy, it's not less than, more than. You have to know that. You have to drop all the ego that still separates and keeps you bonded to the lesser states and, being. It's not really ascension. Number 10, victory always comes to the one who chooses the path of illumined light and focuses on that which is immaculate. I've been doing that all these years, and let me tell you, as you can see yourself, it does pay off. It does also pay out. I'm not saying you get cash at the register point, no. But you get divine glory, which is when you glorify God, God glorifies you and all your activities. So because we serve God so diligently, God will give us everything we need, even when we feel sometimes we're at the lowest point. God lifts us up. That's what true service means. And that's why Aurea is so trusting, because she knows God and what God can do. And herself as an aspect of God, doing it so willingly, she understands the will of God moving through her, even at the worst missions possible to comprehend. And number 11 is a bonus. We always get a bonus because 11 is such a 1-1 unity union number. That's just their appraisal. God is one, most high and immaculate life. We serve only our one creator God as Father, Mother, and the Spirit of the Christ. And in the end, their baptism speaks as, Holy, holy, holy Lord God of hosts, beloved Elohim, beloved Elohim, beloved Elohim, immaculate, holy life. Whew, that was big. And I'm glad it's over, not because, you know, it's not over for you yet. It's over for me in disseminating all this. You know, I never got to tell you how I feel when I finally disseminate something. It's like I've dismantled it and now I can go back in my cave and start anew. So the next process of my journey will probably be focused on receiving the information about this new creation cycle we are creating. I don't yet know what it is. It feels like I know, but I don't know at the same time. So I guess I will have to go blindfoldedly again into it. I think I will be more conscious than before because it's not as extreme and there's no more like transgression, endangerment and things like that. It's like 10 years of this freaking crap inside of you. It's like I was born with the Illumined seed first, and then this was layered on top of me like a layer cake, and I had to get through all of these layers, right, to get to the bottom. And I found my jewel. I can place it here, I can place it here, and in my